Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege. Privilege.
What up, what up? This is your boy Chris Cross checking in. This is a TCMMA podcast. Welcome. UFC 304 is in the rear. It's in the past. It's over. And what stands before us this week is UFC Abu Dhabi. So we're here today to deliver several fight predictions for the UFC Abu Dhabi card, which features Sandhagen versus, I can't remember. Sandhagen versus somebody. That's all I know. Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. That's right. I had to remind myself. And how could I forget? Because Umar is a potentially great fighter in the bantamweight division. But nonetheless, I'm struggling to remember today because I've been watching the Olympics all morning. All morning I've been watching the Olympics, and it just seems like today it's taken off. I mean, you had the men's gymnastics final, team final. I watched that. All six of, they go through 6 different events, 3 competitors in each event, and all scores count. So you can't make a mistake. And Team USA did not make a mistake, I'm trying to tell you. They did not make any mistakes, nearly perfect, and still was forced to settle for the bronze, which was actually the first team medal since a bronze in 2008. That's how difficult it is. China and Japan just dominant, and Japan got it at the end. So that was exciting, and swimming's going on. Seems like every half hour there's another final. A few Americans thought could have a chance to win. Pretty much are all fallen, but they did take second and third in one of the women's events. In most events, we're getting on the podium. So just an exciting Olympics all around, and it goes to show you how competitive this stuff is. I mean, when you're talking about the world, every event is the best of the best. I mean, it's just crazy. It's very hard to get in the top 3. When you're talking about, how many countries, it's just crazy. Fun to watch, man. Glad it's going on. During the summer break gives me something to watch. I love sports, and I'm trying to stay up to date with everything. Men's soccer, women's soccer, men's basketball. Women's basketball is playing right now against Japan. That's a great match. 2 of the best teams in the world. So, you got all this going on, man. It just creates an exciting day to be a sports fan. But now let's keep it moving. UFC Abu Dhabi with Sandhagen and Umar at the top, right? So we're going to get into that in just a minute. But in the first fight, and it's a big one, as there's several big ones up and down this card. You got Joe Alvarez versus a rising Elvis Brenner. And I've heard about Elvis Brenner from a lot of different people. Don't know as much about him as I like, but I could tell that he's on the rise. So let's get into that pick right now. In the lightweight division at UFC Abu Dhabi, you got Joe Alvarez, 20-3, taking on the rising Brazilian Elvis Brenner. Comes in at 16-4. Now Alvarez 5 inches taller at 6'3". He's 31. Brenner 26. Sky's the limit for him right now. Alvarez 4-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Brenner slightly a better striker, right? 4.2 significant strikes per minute to 3.7. So very close there, really. Takedown ability that leans to Brenner, who lands like a takedown every other round. So what is Joe Alvarez's takedown defense? Big number. Important number, just 11%. Not very good in the UFC. He's given up takedowns, right? 2 against Mark Diakis led to a submission. He ended up getting a submission, though. Lost to Arman Sarukian. But before that, beat Thiago Moises, Alexander Yakovlev, Joe Duffy, and Danilo Belluardo. Interesting. So he's winning. On the other hand, Elvis Brenner coming off the loss to Pearl by decision, McTybick. So, wow. That's a fight he should have won. Did beat Kenny Krzyzewski by KO. Guram Kudalate by KO. Okay. and Tukagov split decision. Wow. This is going to be an interesting fight. I know people are very high on Brenner, and usually when there's a Brazilian, it's very close. I lean towards a Brazilian, but I don't think this one's close. I think Alvarez is a little bit better. Now, Brenner will test him on the ground, and I could be overlooking that. But what I am seeing is Alvarez finds ways to win. How's he winning so much with just an 11% takedown defense? That's because when it goes to the ground, he's strong there too. He can reverse positions. Could be tougher against Brenner, but he's got the ability to do so, and that's why he finds ways to win, and that's how you do it in the lightweight division. He's 21-3, but in my opinion, he wins this thing by decision, staves off a few submission attempts, wins 2 rounds out of 3 to move to 21-3 here. Lightweight division, UFC, Abu Dhabi. Yeah, so we got Joe Alvarez winning, and honestly, this is the toughest division, the lightweight division, to predict in the UFC. I mean, guys are scrapping, they're rolling on the ground, they're grappling, there's takedowns, takedown defense, all this stuff is at play every fight, and it's never a given, man. It's very tough to predict, but we'll take Joel Alvarez in this one. He's a slight favorite, but it's very close, and listen, I know people are going to be getting in the comment section talking about Elvis Brenner. I get it. But listen, Joe Alvarez is the truth too. So that's who I got winning. Now, in the next one, you got Mackenzie Dern taking on Lupi Godinez. And you say, really? What's going on with Mackenzie Dern? Usually she's fighting up. She's fighting the best of the best. But not this time. I mean, Lupi is on the rise. Don't get it twisted. But this is a must-win for Mackenzie Dern, and it's no guarantee. Let's get into this one right now. In the women's strawweight division at UFC Abu Dhabi, you got Mackenzie Dern taking on Lupi Godinez. I like this matchup, right? Dern's back is against the wall. I'll tell you why. She's 13-5, Godinez 12-4. Dern's kind of been sliding a little bit lately. Godinez is kind of coming up a little bit lately. So you have this situation, this fight, being scheduled for that reason. Now, Dern is 2 inches taller at 5'4". She's 31, Godinez 30. No big deal there. Dern 2-inch reach advantage, not a big deal. Both stand right-handed. Godinez is more active. 4.1 significant strikes per minute to 3.3 for Dern. Also, Godinez lands more takedowns, like 1 per round, which is a fast pace in terms of, you know, both striking and takedown ability. So Dern less than 1 takedown per round. This could be a problem. And a 28% takedown defense. Just hard to believe. She was trending so well a while back, a couple years ago. Has lost to, lately, Amanda Lemos, and Jessica Andrade. She did beat Angela Hill and lost to Yan Xiaonan. Before that, you know, she won 1, lost 1, but at one point she ran off 4 in a row, and that's when it really looked good for her, but has been struggling lately. Godinez, 84% takedown defense, so she's got good stats. But she lost to Verna Jandiroba, who we've seen looks really good, by decision, fought well. Just trailed 8 by 8. Actually, she led by 8 significant strikes, but trailed in takedowns 2-0. So that makes sense. Beat Tabitha Ricci on the feet, 98-84 in significant strikes, very close. Dominated Elise Reed, and that led to submission. So she's 2-1 in the last 3. Lost the last fight out, but good experience coming into this one. This is going to be a highly interesting fight. And sometimes when it's close, like I just did now, I peeked into the odds, and it's almost 50-50. So that doesn't help at all, because it does seem like it is a toss-up to me. But I'm in a toss-up setting, even though Dern has been struggling. She's been up here for her whole career. I just think she's going to pull this one out. You know, and a lot of times I'm a little jaded with Mackenzie Dern, because I think she should be more like 16-2, 16-3. Right, has lost a couple fights she shouldn't have lost, but that doesn't mean she's not a good fighter and can't win in the future. I still think she's really good, and every time we see her, she's still going to be getting better. So I like her to win this thing by decision, 2-1, maybe split. In my opinion, it'll be the 14-5 here, women's strawweight division, UFC, Abu Dhabi. And Lupi's going to bring it, make no mistake about it. I mean, Lupi is going to bring it. It's not going to be easy, and Godinez is very, very capable of winning this fight. Another tough prediction, as you'll see in this entire card. And every fight in the UFC really is a tough prediction, but in this card specifically, It just seems like when you get into the main card this year, all around, it gets tougher and tougher, and this card is no different. I mean, very difficult to make predictions. But yeah, Mackenzie Dern has got to get the job done. I mean, she absolutely has to get the job done. So, in another big fight, you got Tony Ferguson stepping into the arena. And you hear me say this again, Dana White talking about it's time to retire after this fight. He's taking on Michael Chiesa, right? Who isn't a young guy. So at least it favors Tony Ferguson a little bit in terms of he's not fighting a 30-year-old. He's 40. He's not fighting a 28, 30, 32-year-old. He's fighting a 36-year-old. So interesting prediction right now. In the welterweight division at UFC Abu Dhabi, you got a big one here. Tony Ferguson, who Dana White's saying should retire after this fight, no matter what, comes in at 26-10, taking on Michael Chiesa, who comes in at 18-7. Now Chiesa's going to be 2 inches taller at 6'1". Chiesa's 36. This is why Dana White's saying this. Ferguson is 40 years old. He's got a 1-inch reach advantage. He fights right-handed. Chiesa fights southpaw or left-handed. Now the striking is Tony Ferguson. I mean, you know, this is earlier in his career, a lot of these averages, right? Nearly 5 significant strikes per minute. He's certainly slowed down since then, lacking the power and endurance to keep up. Chiesa lands like 1.9 per minute, but he's going to be a takedown guy. He lands more than 1 takedown per round. So Tony Ferguson's takedown defense is very important, and he stops 2 out of 3. So he can give up takedowns, and Chiesa's very strong on the ground. Now, Tony Ferguson coming off the loss to Paddy Pimblett, lost to King Green by submission, lost to Nate Diaz, lost to Michael Chandler, lost to Beneil Dariush, lost to Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje. Wow. So this guy has lost 7 straight, and it's making more sense as to why Dana White is saying what he's saying. Tony Ferguson is just falling off a cliff here as of late. Now, Chiesa, 60% takedown defense. He's lost 3 in a row, though, to Vicente Luque, Sean Brady, Kevin Holland. So that's a problem. And this is why this fight makes sense. Chiesa's been losing as well. He's not like a young 28, 30, 33-year-old, right? He's 36. More on the level of Tony Ferguson right now. Sad to say. But I still think Chiesa gets the job done here. I mean, this guy's more than a 5-1 favorite for a reason. Everybody knows he's going to go in there and take down Tony Ferguson, who has a lot to fight for. And I like the guy, and I like even the entrance music and everything. The skater music, you know, the old school skater music. But I can't rock with him now. I mean, he's just not the same. But still a guy I like seeing coming, making that entrance, making that walk to the octagon. But listen, once that happens, it's all Chiesa after that. Chiesa wins, in my opinion. But it will go to a decision or maybe a second-round submission, right? So if it goes to the third, I think it's going to go all the way. But Chiesa gets the win here, in my opinion, to move to 19-7 welterweight division, UFC Abu Dhabi. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But I do love Tony Ferguson's walkout music, man, the old skater music. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go. Gets me fired up every time, but he's laid an egg the last, 7 times out roughly. So despite the music, which will get me pumped up for this fight, Chiesa is just still a little bit younger. Well, a lot younger. 36 versus 40 doesn't seem like much. It's just, 4 years, but the fall off from 36 to 40 is a big cliff. So, and you're headed just straight down. So unfortunately, Tony Ferguson's going to lose this one, in my opinion. Now things begin to heat up in the next one. Marlon Chito Vera versus Davison Figueiredo, who's looked good since moving up to the bantamweight division. Let's get into that fight right now. In the bantamweight division at UFC Abu Dhabi, you got Marlon Chito Vera taking on Davison Figueiredo, who's looked good since coming up from flyweight to bantamweight, right? 135, doesn't have to cut as much weight, looking and feeling stronger. It's a good thing for Figueiredo. He's 23-3, Vera 23-9. Now Vera, very tall for bantamweight. He's 5'8". He's 31. Figueiredo 36. Vera's got a 3-inch reach advantage. He's also a switch stance fighter where Figueiredo stands right-handed. Now the striking, and activity goes to Vera, 4.3 significant strikes per minute to just 3 per minute for Figueiredo. But that's because Figueiredo likes to take the fight to the ground. He can land like a takedown every other round. Vera, 70% takedown defense though. Coming off the loss to Sugar Sean O'Malley for the belt by decision. So you can see why this is a big fight for Figueiredo. Right? Chito Vera's knocking on the door. Before that, he beat Pedro Munoz, lost to Corey Sandhagen, and beat Dominic Cruz, Rob Font, and Frankie Edgar. And he beat Rob Font by decision. So did Figueiredo. So he beat Rob Font. He also beat Cody Garbrandt by sub, second round. Before that, he was in the flyweight division. You might as well forget about it. He's 2-0 in the bantamweight division. Can he get the job done here? Sure he can. Is it going to be easy? No. But I still think Figueiredo is going to get the win here because even if he loses in the striking, he's going to utilize that ground game. He's going to cause problems for Vera. You know, Figueiredo's a different type of fighter coming up from flyweight to bantamweight. Man, he just looks fast. He looks stronger. Not feeling the effects of really trying to get down to 125 for all those title fights. You know, he's 36 years old. Moving up in weight class is sometimes a refresh or a restart. So I like Figueiredo to win this and eventually get a title shot. In my opinion, he moves to 24-3 by decision over Vera here. Bantamweight division, UFC Abu Dhabi. I mean, great fight here. And think about it. This is a fight night. This isn't the co-main event or main event. And it's really a title eliminator at the highest level. I say highest level because they're all title eliminators on some level. I mean, if you lose, you're not fighting for the title almost definitely, right? We've seen guys lose and still fight for the title, but it's rare. So just a big opportunity for Figueiredo. If he can beat Vera, he can make the case for a title shot. And then things get interesting against whoever the champ is against a former flyweight champ, right? So that's what you have on the table in this one. This is why you can't miss fight nights either. I mean, you know, it's just a big fight to look forward to. Now, as we jump into the co-main event, things get better. Shara Magomedov, a guy who's on everybody's radar, takes on Mikhail Alexichuk. And this is a big one. Let's get into this one right now. In the middleweight division, your co-main event, at least right now, at UFC Abu Dhabi, you got Shara Magomedov taking on Mikhail Alexichuk. Now, Magomedov is undefeated at 13-0. He's looking ridiculous right now. Alexichuk, 19-8. Magomedov, 2 inches taller at 6'2". He's 30. Alexichuk, 29. So both guys right in the middle of the prime. Alexichuk, 1-inch reach advantage. Magomedov stands right-handed. Alexichuk stands left-handed. Both guys are strikers, right? Magomedov over 7 significant strikes per minute. Alexichuk over 5 per minute. Neither guy really looking to land takedowns, although Alexichuk will get one like every 4 or 5 rounds. Now, Shara Magomedov, 78% takedown defense. Coming off the win over Antonio Tricoli by KO and beat Bruno Silva. That's a big win by decision. Despite giving up 3 takedowns, he led that fight 113-65 in significant strikes. Now, Alexichuk, on the other hand, 48% takedown defense. He's lost 3 of the last 4 to Kyle Barajo, Mikel Pereira, and Kevin Holland, all big-time fighters, all 3 by submission, right? Likely not going to get submitted by Magomedov, though, who wants to strike. That may fit right into Alexichuk's playbook, though, because he did KO Chidi and Jokuwani in the first round. So Alexichuk does have power, does have finishing capabilities, right? Lands over 5 significant strikes per minute, but guess what? None of that is going to matter. None of it's going to matter. The bottom line is Shara Magomedov is undefeated for a reason. He's highly likely to win this fight with just overwhelming power, speed, and activity, right? You're over 7 significant strikes per minute. Think about that. In every round, you're landing 35 significant strikes or more. That's well over 100 on average per fight. Not many fighters are going to be able to equal that pace. And Alexichuk certainly won't do that. He's got 8 losses for a reason. So in my opinion, Magomedov wins this thing. The question is, will it be a finish or not? I think it will be. He'll get the win likely by KO in the first, but win this fight one way or the other to move to 14-0 here, middleweight division. UFC Abu Dhabi. Yeah, I like that pick, man. I'm pretty solid on Shara Magomedov. pretty solid on him. I think he gets the job done easily here. I'm expecting a win in that one. And who knows, this guy may be able to work his way on to the dude list. There's some opportunity at the bottom between, older fighters like Charles Oliveira, right, who's on the outside looking in at a title, and then a few others like that. But then you got the rising challengers to get on the dude list like a Nurmagomedov and others, right? Guy like Aliskerov still has something to prove. So Cher is right there, and I like to get him in the top 20. And, I like guys that are undefeated, obviously, and something to prove, and that's Cher Nurmagomedov. Now, the main event is ridiculous, and we got to bounce back because we fell last week, right? In this one, you got Sandhagen, Corey Sandhagen, that is, big bantamweight division fight, taking on Umar Nurmagomedov. Check this out. In the bantamweight division at UFC Abu Dhabi, this is your main event. You got Corey Sandhagen coming in at 17-4, taking on the up-and-comer Umar Nurmagomedov, who comes in at a perfect 17-0. Look out. Sandhagen's 3 inches taller, 5'11". He's 32. Umar, 28. No big deal there. Sandhagen's got a 1-inch reach advantage. He's a switch stance fighter, always an advantage. Umar stands right-handed. Now, Sandhagen has much tougher competition and still leads in significant strikes here. That's interesting to me. 5.3 to 4.8 per minute between the two. But the takedown game, which Sandhagen has a takedown game as well, but Umar lands over a takedown and a half per round, so he gets like 3 takedowns every 2. Sandhagen 64% takedown defense. Oh boy. Coming off 3 straight wins though against the last 2 were decisions. Rob Font, unanimous. Marlon Vera, Chito Vera, wow. Split decision and beat Song Yadong by KO. He last lost to Piotr Yan and TJ Dillashaw. So he's trending in the right direction right now. Umar stuffs all takedowns, 100% takedown defense. Beat Almacan by decision. 68-3 in significant strikes, 5-0 in takedowns. Also beat Raoni Barcelos by KO, so he proved he can finish people. Beat Nate Maness by decision, 74-2 in significant strikes. Oh my goodness. Brian Kelleher, 18-1 in significant strikes, followed by the submission. So, gosh, it's so hard to go against Corey Sandhagen. But Umar Nurmagomedov is undefeated for a reason, and he's just stifling his opponents with the ground game and control time. Right? You're seeing like 68-3, 18-1 in significant strikes. It's ridiculous. So Sandhagen is a beast, but I got to go with Umar here to get the win. I'd love to see him get the finish. Possible submission in the second round, maybe the first, right? As Sandhagen will defend off position after position, but eventually will probably get submitted. But if not, it'll be an easy, unanimous decision for Umar Nurmagomedov to get the victory. Remain undefeated in my opinion. Move to 18-0 here. Bantamweight division, main event, UFC Abu Dhabi. Yeah, and if Umar can win this fight, he'll move up a level. This is a levels type fight. You beat Corey Sandhagen, you move up into a different arena. I mean, now you're facing the top 5, right? And then you have something. So first you beat Sandhagen, and then you're getting the top 1, 2, 3 contender, and you're knocking on the door if you're Umar, and you're undefeated. So someone's got to take you down if they want to stop you. Now in some other good fights, you got Alonzo Menafield versus Azat Mirzakhanov. Mirzakhanov's undefeated, right? You got Yaya versus Fernandez. That should be a good one. In the lightweight division, that division never fails. Shamil Gaziev versus Dontel Mays. Guram Kutaladze versus Vucenic. Vucenic is 13-2, so look out for him. Victoria Dudakova, perfect 8-0. She's on the rise, taking on Sam Hughes. Right, Dudakova's nearly a 2-1 favorite. You got Jai Herbert versus Bedoya. Cedric Dumas versus Tiulin. My goodness, this is a big card. So a lot of fights to look forward to here at UFC Abu Dhabi, and we'll be around all week to discuss, updated news and storylines, things that are going on, because there's a lot of great fights on this card. But for now, that'll do it for the prediction show. I'm your host, Chris Cross. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, hope you have a great day, and God bless. As always, peace.